Good afternoon, students. Today we are going to learn about the artificial respiration, which is very much important for the practical purpose. So first, before doing the artificial respiration, you should know what is artificial respiration, when it has to be applied, and within how much time it has to be applied. So the name itself tells that artificial respiration, it has to be given artificially. So it is an emergency life-saving procedure which has to be given as quick as possible without wasting the time. So mostly this artificial respiration is applied in case of cardiorespiratory arrest, particularly respiratory arrest when the respiration is arrested and heart continues to beat. So this artificial respiration, it has to be given as quick as possible within 5 minutes. Okay, so this artificial respiration, it has to be, there are different conditions when the artificial respiration has to be given. There are some chronic conditions and there are some acute conditions when there are cardiorespiratory arrest. Acute conditions like drowning, carbon monoxide poisoning, anaphylactic shock, electric shock, these are the acute condition. And some chronic conditions like chronic lung disease, congestive heart failure, all those conditions, cardiorespiratory arrest is there, so you can give the artificial respiration. Okay, so before giving the artificial respiration, you should know what are the signs and symptoms of that victim or the patient. So most important thing is that the patient, it comes with unconsciousness, with moist, cold and moist skin. The pulse, if you feel the pulse, it is very weak and also it cannot be palpable. Blood pressure cannot be recorded and the IPP will be dilated. If you see all those signs and symptoms, then without wasting the time, immediately you have to give the artificial respiration by different methods. So there are two types of methods. One is your manual method, second one is your mechanical method. Out of these two methods, mechanical method is very much effective as compared to the manual method, but the mechanical method, some time is required to take the instrument, all those things, so it is better to use the manual methods. So in the manual method, this manual method is mostly important for practical purpose, which is mostly kept in the practical, you have to perform that, but mechanical methods you are not going to perform. Okay, manual methods are, one is the mouth-to-mouth breathing, second one Holger-Menzel, third one Sylvester, and fourth one is the Sapos method. Under mechanical method, you will be having the Drinker's method, Colvin method, third one is your seesaw eavesdropping method, and continuous insufflation method. Okay, so before starting any one of the methods, either manual or mechanical method, you should know what are the first aid measures that you have to give. First important thing is that when the person comes with, or the patient comes with any cardiorespiratory arrest, or particularly the respiratory arrest, so first important, you have to important thing for the that is artificial respiration or first aid things, avoid delay. That means without wasting time, immediately start the procedure. Second important thing is that you have to bring the person to an area where fresh air is available, oxygen is available. Third important, keep the person in the lying down position, then extend the neck, clean the airway with the help of the finger wrapped with cotton or stick wrapped with cotton, clean the airway, extend the leg so that the tongue will not fall back. Next important thing is that if the person is having any tight cloth, loosen the cloth, and particularly for drowning patient, you have to keep the person in upside down position by holding the ankles so that extra amount of water will be removed, and by pressing the abdomen. Okay, so these are some of the important things that you have to keep in mind before doing the artificial respiration. So these are the first aid measures. So these are common for all those measures. First you have to take all those first aid things, then start any of the method. Okay, so in the manual method, first one is the mouth to mouth. So out of the four methods, mouth to mouth is most effective method, but most of the time it is not accepted by the family members or some of the persons. So it is always not accepted, but it is most effective, particularly for the newborn babies and small children. Okay, so for first aid thing is first, how to do the mouth to mouth breathing. Okay, so for mouth to mouth breathing, the subject position, it should be lying down position, supine position, and you will be the operator. The operator's position, it should be in the one side of the left side of the subject or the victim here, Okay, then you have to, with the help of left hand finger, you have to close all the first aid things first you have to complete, then after that extend the neck, clean the airway, then with the help of left hand fingers close the nostril, and you have to, your mouth should be tightly packed with the, open the mouth and your mouth should be tightly packed with the operator, and that is the victim's mouth. So there should be airtight seal between the operator and the victim. Okay, then you have to take a deep breath and expire forcefully into the victim's mouth. Here the amount of air which is expired, it should be double the amount of tidal volume, so that it will be helpful for the subject to expire, to inspire. Okay, so this is very much effective, and particularly you have to keep in mind when you are doing over the small child or newborn baby. But when it is newborn baby, then you should not do it so forcefully. You have to expire the air very gently, otherwise it will damage the delicate lungs. Another thing is that while you are expiring into the subject or the victim's mouth, at that time you have to simultaneously feel, you have to keep your left hand over the chest and the abdomen to feel whether the respiration has started or not. Okay, so you have to continue at the rate of 12 times per minute. So this is the mouth to mouth. If you do this, it will be very much effective. Then second important, which is very much important for the practical point of view, Holger-Nansen. Next to the mouth to mouth breathing, Holger-Nansen is very much important, and it is commonly asked in the exam. So this is also called Holger-Nansen, or it is called arm lift back pressure method, ALBP. It is called arm lift back pressure method. So what should be the position of the subject here? Though it is arm lift back pressure, so position should be prone position, and the operator has to knee down on the head end of the subject. Now the subject's head should be turned to one side, and it has to be rested over both the crossed arms. Now what you have to do, you have to lift the arm at the position at the level of the elbow, lift it, then after that keep it, and you have to keep both the palms like this, just below the scapula, okay, like this, and you have to rock forward without bending the elbow, okay, like this, arm lift and back pressure. You should not bend your elbow, you have to just rock forward so that your whole weight will be applied over the victim, which will be helpful to expire. So that is the arm lift and back pressure. You have to continue this procedure at the rate of 12 times per minute. When it is arm lift, this is inspiratory phase. It has to be done for 3 seconds. Then after that, back pressure, which has to be done for 2 seconds. So 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, like this. You should continue the cycle 12 times per minute. Okay, so this is called arm lift back pressure method. So here there is every method, in all these 4 methods there is some advantage and disadvantage. So though it is very much effective here, inspiratory phase and expiratory phase both are active, that's why it is very much effective. But disadvantage is that if the person is having though you are giving the back pressure, if the person is having the fracture of the rib bones, at that time you cannot give the pressure. So if there is fracture of rib bones or the arm bones, you cannot give the proper pressure. Okay, so that is the disadvantage. Another thing disadvantage is that here one assistant is required to hold the ankle while you are lifting the arm. Along with the arm, the person may be coming towards you, so it will not be so much effective. So that are the 2 disadvantages in this method. Okay, and advantage, both are active process, inspiration and expiration. Third one is the Sylvester method. Okay, so Sylvester method, it is also called arm lift chest pressure method. Arm lift chest pressure. So the name itself tells the position. Though it is chest pressure, the position of the subject will be here supine position. In the same way, here the operator has to kneel down on the head end of the subject, and then you have to hold the arm lift. You have to hold the arm like this at the elbow, then keep it back, okay, pull back, then after that turn both the hands like this over the subject's chest, and you should rock forward so that your whole weight will be applied over the subject's chest, which will be helpful to expire. Okay, so arm lift, it is the inspiratory phase which should be done for 3 seconds. Then turn both the arms like this and you rock over that. Okay, you should rock over the chest of the subject, that is for 2 seconds. So 3 second arm lift inspiratory phase, 2 second for expiratory phase. So 3 second, 2 second, like this you continue for 12 times per minute. The cycle should be continued 12 times per minute. Here also it is also most effective. Here it can, this disadvantage is that here one assistant is also required while you are holding the arm or pulling the arm, and that time the subject may come towards you. So that is the disadvantage, one assistant is required. Second disadvantage, though you are giving the pressure over the chest, if the person is having arm bone fracture, okay, and also if the person is having the chest rib bone fracture, at that time you cannot give the pressure. Okay, so that is the disadvantage. Okay, so every method is having some advantage and disadvantage. Okay, otherwise it is also effective. Then fourth one is the Sappho's method, which is only prone pressure method. Prone pressure method, it is called prone pressure. So the position of the subject is prone position, and you have to knee down on one side of the subject. Then after that you have to just give the pressure over the back, just below the scapula. You have to just give the pressure. Only here expiratory phase, one phase is active. Okay, so that's why it is not much effective, though it is only here in this case only one method is active. Okay, here the disadvantage it may be, here when the rib bones are fractured you cannot give the pressure. Okay, that is the Sappho's method. So out of all four methods, commonly asked are Holger Nansen, Sylvester, and some of the time Sappho's method is asked in the exam. Mouth to mouth it is not asked, but you should know which is the most effective. You can do over the, when there will be real patient, at that time you can do it. Okay. So these are the four methods. Then in the mechanical methods, these are not asked, but at least you should remember all the four methods. It can be asked in the exam. So Drinker's method, Paul Bonnell, or which is called Brackpole method, seesaw or eavesdropping method, and continuous insufflations method. So these are the different mechanical methods. After the manual method, you can shift the patient to the hospital and you can use any one of the mechanical methods. Okay. So these are the some of the methods for artificial respiration. All those things, how it has to be done, I'll tell you in the demonstration. Now one graph you should know, you have to draw it also in the journal, that graph. So up to now we have discussed about the basic things regarding the artificial respiration. So that means what is artificial respirations, what are the basic thing regarding the artificial respiration is that in which condition you have to give the artificial respiration to the patient, what are the different methods of artificial respiration, what are the first aid measures you have to take before giving any type of method of artificial respiration. Another thing is that how to give the artificial respiration, what are the procedures, okay, how to give for the manual method as well as the instrumental method. Okay, so up to now we have discussed all those things. And we have already known that it is an emergency life-saving procedure, so you have to give it as quick as possible without wasting the time. Okay. Now, when you are supposed to give this, within how much time we have to give the, or you have to start the artificial respiration. Okay, that you should know, though it is the very emergency condition. Okay, so it has to be given within 5 minutes of any condition, okay, either respiratory arrest or cardiac arrest. So it has to be given within 5 minutes. Okay, so based on that, when you are supposed to give the artificial respiration, how much will be the percentage of survival rate? Based on that, one graph is there. Okay, this is very much important. You have to draw it in your journal. There is one place for this thing in the artificial respiration practical. One space is there. You are supposed to draw this diagram. This is called percentage survival graph. Okay, so in this, in x-axis you can see this is the time of starting the artificial respiration in minute. In y-axis the percentage survival rate. Okay, so what it indicates, if you give the artificial respiration within 1 minute, the survival rate will be 90%, that is maximum. Okay, if you give the artificial respiration within 2 minutes, the survival rate will be 75%. If you give within 3 minutes, it is 50%,
and if you give within 4 minutes, it is 25%. Okay, if you give within 5 minutes, then it is within 25%. Less than 25% will be within 5 minutes. But if you give the artificial respiration after 5 minutes, the survival rate will be less than 0. It is very dangerous. So it has to be given within 5 minutes. Why it has to be given within 5 minutes? Because you know that all the vital organs like brain and heart, they cannot survive without oxygen. That means they cannot survive the hypoxic condition for more than 5 minutes. If there is no blood supply, no blood flow to the vital organs like the brain and the heart, they may undergo irreversible damage. So oxygen, within 5 minutes, the oxygen has to be supplied to the vital organs so that you can survive the person from the cardiac arrest or respiratory arrest. Okay, so that is the importance of this percentage survival graph. So everyone has to draw it in your journal. Okay, so this is all about the artificial respiration. Next one, which is called the CPR. Previously it was not there, it is added in your syllabus according to MCI, that is the cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR. Okay, so here you should know what is the difference between artificial respiration and CPR. Okay, so here when you have to give the artificial respiration, when you are supposed to give the CPR or cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Okay, so difference is that artificial respiration is mostly given in case of when only the respiratory arrest is there, but at that time heart continues to beat. But CPR usually it has to be given when there is both cardiac arrest as well as the respiratory arrest, both the things. For example, the conditions like collapse. In collapse condition, the respiratory arrest is also there and cardiac arrest, because in the beginning the respiration will be arrested, after that the heart will be arrested or cardiac arrest will be there. So when both the condition will be there, that is very critical condition. At that time, without wasting of the time, immediately you have to give the CPR or cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Okay, so here what happens, this CPR, though cardiac arrest is there, so what will happen, what will be the signs of the cardiac arrest? Particularly the additional thing is here cardiac arrest, in this case only respiratory arrest. Okay, so when there will be cardiac arrest, the signs will be here, there will be absence of the blood flow, absence of the pulse and absence of the heartbeat. Okay, so when the blood flow to the brain, all those things are absent. When the blood flow to the brain will be absent, there will be no blood flow to the brain. Immediately what will happen, the person will be unconscious for that moment. Immediately the person will be unconscious, and also simultaneously the normal breathing will be stopped. So respiration will be also arrested. So here in this condition, cardiac arrest, respiratory arrest, both the things will be arrested, and the signs will be absence of the blood flow, absence of the pulse and absence of the heartbeat. Okay, so you have to give the CPR. Okay, now you can see, before giving the CPR, what are the headings under which you have to give the CPR. Okay, so this is called, easy to remember, that is called doctors ABCD. Under these headings you have to give the CPR. Okay, so D for first important thing, when a person is coming with cardiac or respiratory arrest, you have to first check for the danger. When the patient is coming to you, first D for the danger. You have to check for the danger, whether the area where you are giving, that is dangerous condition, or the person is in danger condition, you can survive or not, that you have to check. Check for danger. R for second one, R, check for the response. Okay, so how to check for the response? By checking the shoulder of the patient. Okay, just check the shoulder of the patient and tell, are you okay? Then you observe the response, whether he is responding or not. Okay, second one, R for response. You have to check the response. If the person is not responding anything when you are telling, are you okay or not, then immediately send for the help. S for send for help. There are some helpline numbers, immediately call that number and send for the help. Then fourth one is A, doctors ABCD. A for the airway. You have to check for the airway. How to check for the airway? You have to keep the person in the lying down position. Then second one, open the airway by lifting the chin and tilting the head. Head tilt, chin lift position. By opening the airway, you have to check whether it is clean, or otherwise you have to clean it, check the airway. Second one, B for breathing. Check the breathing. Wait for second. Next thing is the you have to wait for 5 to 10 seconds to observe for the normal breathing, whether the breathing is normal or any abnormal thing is there. Okay, then immediately you have to give the third thing, C for, then you have to maintain the circulation. Okay, how to maintain the circulation? For maintaining of the circulation, what you have to do? You have to give the compressions. How to maintain circulation? You have to give 30 compressions followed by 2 rescue breath. Okay, how to give? I will tell that thing. So maintain circulation by giving 30 compressions followed by 2 mouth to mouth respiration, that is rescue breath or mouth to mouth respiration. Then allow passive breathing. Okay, you continue this procedure, okay, until the person becomes takes the normal respiration. Okay, the person becomes normal. Up to that you have to continue that procedure, 30 compressions followed by 2 rescue breath. Okay, then after that last part is the you have to attach the AED, automated external defibrillator. Okay, that is the instrument. So at the end of this thing, when you maintain all those things, when they survive the person, immediately you attach the AED, the electronics machine, automated external defibrillator, and immediately shift the person to the hospital. Okay, so in this way, under all those headings you have to give the CPR. Now how to give the CPR? So these are the first things you have to keep in the mind. What is the procedure to give the CPR? Okay, so for giving, so we will also send you the video or for the procedure. Okay, but still you should know. So for that thing, this is the left hand heel of the palm. Your left hand heel of the palm, it should be at the position of upper 2/3 and lower 1/3 of the sternum. It will be like this. Okay, and the right hand heel will be above this, and all the fingers will be interlocked like this. Okay, so in this position you have to give the CPR. Left hand heel of the palm, it will be like this, and right hand heel will be like this, above this, and all the fingers will be interlocked. Now you give the compression. How to give the compression? The compression should be in such a way that it should be so forceful that it should go down, your sternum should go down at least 5 to 6 centimeter. In that force you have to give. You should not do like this. It has to be so forcefully, because the patient is cardiorespiratory arrest person. So you have to give the pressure in such a way that, or so forcefully that your palm should go down, or the sternum should go downward up to 5 to 6 centimeter, so that the normal respiration can occur, and you can bring the person from that hazardous condition or the complicated condition. Okay, you can survive that person. So in this way you can give the CPR. Okay, so we'll send you 2 videos are there how to give the CPR, already downloaded. We'll download that thing. So in that way you can see that thing. Okay, how to do the CPR, and already we have discussed about the artificial respiration, how to give the, but in the exam mostly CPR is not asked. Artificial respiration, particularly the manual methods of artificial respiration, which is commonly asked. Examine any one method of the artificial respiration in the given subject. Okay, that you have to perform in the exam. Okay, so in short, this is all about the artificial respiration. This is the percentage survival graph and CPR.
So now we'll start with the Holger-Nansen method. So this is arm lift and back pressure. So you have to hold the arm at the position of the elbow. Arm lift. This is for inspiration. It has to be done for 3 seconds. Then after that you have to keep it like this, and both the palms just below the scapula, and just wrap for it. This is for 2 seconds. Now once again you have to do it for arm lift, inspiratory phase 3 seconds and expiratory phase 2 seconds. You have to continue this procedure or this for 12 times per minute. This is called arm lift back pressure. Okay. So here one assistant is required while I am pulling the arm like this. Okay. So this is Holger-Nansen. Patabar japa. Next we will see the Sylvester method. Okay. In Sylvester method, this is called arm lift chest pressure method. So you have to hold the arm like this. Arm lift. This is inspiratory phase for 3 seconds. Then turn both the arms like this, keep it like this, and you just give your pressure over this. This is for 2 seconds. Once again, arm lift, 3 seconds, keep both the things, and this expiratory phase. Okay, you also continue this procedure 12 times per minute. This is arm lift, chest pressure. Okay, this is Sylvester method. This is also asked in the exam. Holger-Nansen and Sylvester both are commonly asked in the exam. Here also one assistant is required while I am pulling the hand. Put over. Now third one is the Schafer's method. So here this is called the only prone pressure or back pressure method. So here you have to knee down on one side of the subject and just give back pressure. Once again, come back. Back pressure and come back. Here only one method is active, only the expiratory phase is active. This is not much effective, but only one method. Okay. So this is called Schafer's method. This is hardly asked, but maybe asked in the exam. But most commonly asked are the Holger-Nansen and Sylvester. Okay. So these are the different methods for the artificial respiration.